IDG Ventures has really been, a true tech venture-focused investor in India. But of late, we are seeing a lot of VC funds in India who began as technology-focused funds, but kind of diversifying their focus to other sector areas. So, any kind of, thoughts there that, perhaps, or would you essentially be a very tech-focused investor in times to come?
Well, we always feel that with a rapidly improving technology, product or service can be more productive and be a greater help to the customer. So there's usually a technology element involved. One of our companies is managing energy in buildings, and they have an excellent computer-based technology to help make the use of the heating system as effective as possible. So there's an element of technology, but it's still a basic building maintenance support. And we have another group who helps to monitor all the cell towers, and so we connect up an electronic link to the cell tower. We can tell how well it's performing and when it needs maintenance. So there's a little bit of technology there. We have education programs that are using tablets to help people get into the IITs and the other good schools. And then, of course, we have a lot of internet commerce sites where people can customize the clothes they want and buy. And then we have sites which really do, I'd say, professional service for companies in organizing their security. So there's not a great deal of technology. It's more a logical process of analyzing all of the security issues and then deciding how to implement safety factors on it.
So technology is essentially an enabler in your portfolio companies, you're saying?
Yes, well, we, of course, are driven by market needs. We look for needs in the market, and then usually we can offer a superior solution to the customer by using some technology which is more efficient or productive there. So we start out with market needs, and then we see if we can find solutions versus starting out with a new technology and then finding out whether we can find a market for it.
In your presentation, you spoke about a lot of, exits from Chinese portfolio companies. Do you see any kind of trend or such kind of phenomena happening in India going forward?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do, because all these very high performing exits where we'd get 100 times our money back or 300 times, 500 times, all were related to the use of the Internet. The Internet to set up social media, the Internet to set up search services, the Internet to do a lot of e-commerce. And the problem in India is that the penetration of the Internet is still very limited. But with the commitment to broadband wireless communications, it means that people will have mobile devices which will give them 24/7 instantaneous access to the Internet. So actually, that was more time accessibility than people who might in China go to the Internet cafe or have just a computer in their home but don't have a 3D or 4G phone to operate from. So right now there's probably only about 30 million people who have Internet access. We think with the new 3G, 4G phones that there'll be 400 or 500 million people, and so we'll have a factor of over 10 times growth, and then you multiply that by all the new business that those facilities will take on in terms of shopping decisions, travel decisions, medical care information systems, game playing. You're going to have companies here that will be doubling every year, or maybe even tripling every year, and then in 5 or 8 years, the return on capital for the early investors could well be 200 times or 300 times what returns. It will be comparable to the China.
Sure. So, IDG Ventures, does that mean that you will be focusing a lot on internet in India going forward?
Well, of course, we know there are always some new developments that we can't anticipate. But right now, we think the internet, the introduction of the mobile internet, is actually going to be one of the big causes of rapid growth. But there may be some new medical technology or maybe some new technology on distributing virtual games, which may even have faster rates of penetration in the market. So we always pay attention, keep our eyes wide open and objectives to see where the next big flash market growth is going to be and jump on it. So right now, we guess our probability is that a lot of services and e-commerce and education and entertainment are going to come out of the 3 and 4G phones. But there could be new developments that take us by surprise, but we have to adjust. The basis of human survival is adjust to changing conditions.
Sure. So how is Indian technology different from Chinese technology as a marketplace?
Yeah, the Chinese companies we invest in are typically always targeted on serving domestic needs. So they find all their market inside China. In India, a lot of our investee companies are serving international markets, either for their entire marketplace or for a good portion of the market. So, I mean, that's healthy because the domestic market is growing rapidly in India. So that means if the Indian-only focus, could grow at 15 or 20%, 25% a year. But then the extra bonus is that the Indians are very good at reaching out and doing business process outsourcing or helping software services, helping security, helping banks run their databases in other countries. So they're combining the domestic growth, which is very rapid, with the fact that they can go out and maybe double or triple their growth by attacking the international markets immediately.
So will IDG Ventures always be a very technology-focused investor? Would you be looking at getting into other sectors in times to come?
Well, I think we know so much about the technology. We have 11,000 people in our organization who study technology, rates of growth in technology, forecast technology markets, the buying process of the people buying the technology. So we think we have a big knowledge base advantage over others. So we'll continue to try to benefit from that. But if something new comes up that represents an unexpected breakthrough, maybe a new simple way to analyze the human genome and then come up with personalized medicine to cure specific problems, so if that's then the hot opportunity, we can jump right on that and do it. So we're sort of, we assume that we can do better where we're so knowledgeable, but we want to optimize the results of our investment. So if some new thing came up which seems to be giving us a better return, we'd certainly give that a priority.
Are you kind of happy with the way your India portfolio has evolved? Any kind of concerns do you have? Any kind of expectations which you had perhaps were not met?
No, we found in India, compared to China and the U.S., that the companies have strong survival capabilities. We invest in our venture fund in California. We'd expect after about 7 years that half the companies will have disappeared, and then 3 of the other 5 companies would be making modest returns, and then 1 or 2 companies will be making 50 times, 100 times return. In India, we have 11 companies, and really they're all doing well. They're all pretty much on plan, and so they're all going to survive and grow, and so we'll be having no disappearances of any of these companies as far as we know. And yet we still have 4 or 5 of 10 that we think are 20-time, 30-time, 40-time winners. So I think the interesting characteristic of India versus other places is that the companies are able to adjust to changes in the market and survive and grow, and you have very much fewer companies that essentially stop operations. And then the other factor is in India there's a great deal of labor mobility. Many companies have it's 1/3 of their company turning over every year. So if you're a young company with a hot idea, you can have 10 people the first month, and then 40 people the next month, and 100 people by the 4th month. And so you can grow much more rapidly in India because you can gather new qualified employees so quickly. So this is unique. In Europe, people have 6 months employment contracts, and that's why venture capital has not really ever worked well in Europe because labor is too rigid and unflexible. The U.S., they still have non-compete agreements, and you have to give 30 days, 60 days notice. So it's somewhat certainly more flexible than Europe, but it's nowhere near as open as India. And then in China, people like to stay around their hometown and work, so they're not maybe as willing to travel around and join companies in other parts of the world. So I think India leads the way, and and be able to form a company and grow it more rapidly than anywhere else, because you can get more qualified employees more quickly than anywhere else.
How important is India as a market for you compared to other markets?
A very important market. We think it's going to become the second largest market for technology products in Asia. It's going to be the second largest market for investments in venture and private equity. So we've given it a large priority. We always like to have our media groups and our research groups here to help the venture team, and until 2004 we weren't able to set up our media business because there was a prohibition about foreign ownership of a media business. But when the government saw we were all about science and technology and medicine and nothing political and economic, then they gave us okay. So then in early 2004 we've now set up our complete media and research group, and then we made our $150 million commitment to a venture fund in beginning of middle of 2006. So we're about to raise another fund, bigger than the current fund, and we expect we'll do a growth fund. So I can imagine by the end of the 2020, that we'll have over $1.5 billion of money under management in India, which will be, except for China, will be the largest pool of funds that IDG manages in the world.
So what is the kind of commitment that you have in India as of now?
Well, the venture fund is $150 million fund, and then we're starting another one, which will make another, similar large commitment to.
What's the fund size that you're targeting?
The new one? It's 175 to 200 million size.
Only for India?
Just for, these are always dedicated to India-only funds.
Okay, and you also mentioned that you plan to have a growth fund?
Yes, and then we have a growth fund which would be in the vicinity of 350 to 400 million, and probably we would do that about 2013 or 14. And and then maybe eventually we'll have a what we call a mezzanine fund, which we are investing just prior to an IPO or prior to the purchase of a company. So we'll have 3 different category funds in participating in India.
What is the rationale behind coming together with a growth fund and a mezzanine fund than a venture fund? Do you think that India essentially is about growth equity, and somewhere being a venture fund gives you very longer gestation periods of exiting a portfolio, and you would not want to wait so long and rather have a growth fund and mezzanine fund and perhaps have your exit portfolio much more visible, the exit horizon?
Well, the very successful companies go through various capital needs. We are giving them the money at the time where they're defining the product and getting the business concept together, getting their publicity and promotion, and then they start to go out with mass production to distribute around the market. Then they go from the 5 million, 8 million that we would put in as a venture fund. Then they want 20, 25 million, and that's where we give them the money from the growth fund. And then as they scale up and they internationalize their business, they may need additional investment of 50 million, and that's where we would put the money from our capital fund or our mezzanine fund. So this way we're able to work with the company through its whole rapid stages of growth and provide it the necessary capital to support every stage. Well, I hope people would see it as the company that has sponsored young companies that have created tremendous new products and services, increased the quality of life for people, the standards of living, improved education, improved the health care, created excellent jobs for 10,000 employees, and created a lot of wealth for the investors, the Indian investors who come in on rupee terms into these funds, and of course the international investors who are coming in their dollar investment.